Hello and welcome to Silicon Expert's PartSearch tool training video. This is our homepage and I'm Tierney Powers from the Silicon Expert headquarters. We're looking at the BOM manager envelope showing you how many BOMs you have, how many alerts you have in the tool set up, and how many support tickets you've submitted. This is a brand new version, so it has nothing, but you will over time acquire a collection of all of these, and here you can also have parts in your briefcase. At the top we have a feed giving you some information that's updated on a regular basis. You can enter parts by either putting parts in the PartSearch box at the top. You can also search up here by description or by product type or any of these other categories. You click Go and you're brought to the parts page. So this shows you the part and all the other information. You can then click on it as they're all hyperlinked and you're brought to the parts detail page. Here you can see that this part is active and it was last updated on July 9th. So that's when we last checked the data, ensuring that it is fresh. You can see the datasheet history. You can also see the current datasheet, which is hyperlinked. Our newest module, which is the conflict minerals module. And as you scroll down, you're seeing how many crosses you have. Crosses are from a different manufacturer, whereas options are from the same manufacturer. Here we also show how many distributors carry the part, how many PCNs are associated with this part, and if, for instance, there weren't any crosses, you could then go to the cross by parametric feature, click here, and now you're brought to a page where you can narrow it down based on the parametric features and supplier, etc. You can also filter down by whether it's an active part. It's always good to use the filters because that really speeds up the process. At this time, I just want to note that you can always also submit a support ticket from any page. You come up here and you'll have this ability to enter in what you want to do, such as add missing data, add a part number, and if you have a datasheet available, you can attach that here. Over here, beyond the summary page, we also have parametric information, packaging information, manufacturing data, the part marking for many ICs, environmental compliance information. You can click on the details to find documentation for the status. Click View for the source and you'll be brought to either a certificate of compliance or a full material declaration. We also extract the data from the full material declarations and put it into a table like this for the chemical data. And again, here is the conflict mineral module infiltrated into this parts detail page. Our risk analysis is based on an algorithm that we've created with the University of Maryland's CALS department and Dr. Peter Sanborn. We're basing this 15% overall risk on 4 factors: life cycle, including the years to end of life that we're estimating, multi-sourcing risk, inventory risk, and whether the part is ROHS compliant. We also show whether there are any suppliers who have an aftermarket relationship with this supplier, for instance, in this case, Rochester Electronics. You can download the risk report by coming up here, and again, all of our reports are downloadable into Excel. Life cycle is looking at how old the part is, what stage it's in, how many years to end of life, which is coming from the algorithm. The multi-sourcing risk is based on how many different manufacturer parts that can be crossed to this part. So we're looking at how many different suppliers as being how many different sources. As you can tell, there are many more than 20 parts that can be crossed to this part, but there are only 20 suppliers manufacturing parts that do so. You can also look at the inventory risk. In this case, it's low, as there are 11 distributors carrying the part for the last few months. The counterfeit risk is based on guide-up reports, whether this product itself has a report out there, whether there are any other reports from onsemi parts, and whether there are any reports on this technology. Here you have whether the part is active, which also influences whether it's likely to have a counterfeit out there, how old the part is, how many distributors carry it, and whether there's ever been a shortage, such as a natural disaster when there's a price hike due to shortages in inventory. Here we're going to be adding more to the design resources portion of the tool, but here you can find design resources and CAD symbols or SPICE models, qualifications if they are available, and here is the overall document center where you can find all of your documents in one spot. If you want to set up an alert for this particular onsemi part so that you're updated if it goes EOL or not recommended for a new design, you can set that up, choosing which PCN you're going to receive, enter in your email address and maybe a colleague's, and you'll be alerted anytime one of those occurrences happens. You can also find out whether a supplier is acquired, whether a datasheet changes, whether the life cycle changes, any guide-up reports are issued. And over here you can keep track of any changes to the ROHA status, REACH, or SVHCs. Here's the supplier profile where you can find the address, the phone number, and website for this supplier. You can also look at all of the acquisitions and their dates, whether they're full or partial. And here is the history of the part, just showing you all of the data sheets. Inventory and pricing, and here you can write a comment. So say you're working on this part and you want to leave a comment for your colleague. Enter an attachment, and it will be maintained just for you and anybody else who has access to your login and username. You can also export XML information, so all the information on this page into XML. If you want to add the part to your briefcase, you will go up here and you'll find that it will be in your briefcase, and you can add all sorts of parts into here. If you'd like to add a label, you can add labels by clicking Create New Label. And here we just added a label to this part. So now when we search for this part, there is the label. So many of you have been introduced to this tool to help find a cross for parts that are end of life, obsolete, not recommended for new design, and so forth. There are a few ways that you can use the tool to find valuable crosses. One way is to put a part number in this PartSearch box. Click Enter, and you'll see here that this part is obsolete. So when we have an obsolete part, we can go down to this crosses area, choose out of these 167 crosses, and now what are these crosses? How close are they? That's based on this cross type definition. Here's where we tell you the closeness of the cross to the part you're looking at. So A would be a pin-to-pin drop-in replacement with exact package and parametric features. B would be a pin-to-pin compatible with minor differences in package dimension and or parametric features. C Is the pin-to-pin compatible with major differences in package dimension and or parametric features? D is similar functionality with different package and pinout. Now the way that you can speed up the process of crossing is by filtering down by the type of cross that the part is. So in this case, we have a part that is an A cross and a B cross. Now we have 46 crosses. We can look at parts that are compliant, we can look at parts that are active, and we can look at parts that have inventory. We have the ability to compare these parts side by side with the original obsolete part. Should you choose to compare parts, you can compare up to 8 parts side by side. Compare selected, and now we're looking at all of the features, not only the summary information. You can download this into an Excel spreadsheet, and you'll see that in the Excel spreadsheet you have all the tabs for comparing at the different levels. So another way that you can look for a part is you can go into the products page. Here you're looking at our taxonomy, which has been used by many of the franchise distributors in the industry. We normalize all of the part information and then we make it available to the companies we serve. Here, for instance, you can look up an op-amp and you can search either parametrically by all of the op-amps in the database. We have over 250 million components in the database. Here there are 46,000 from 68 suppliers, or you can search parametrically by a certain supplier. Let's just search parametrically. We're going to go by 2 channels per chip and rail-to-rail input. That filters it down to 21 parts. But as you can see, you can choose from any of these that are required for your project. There's also the advanced parametric search option, which allows you to filter based on a range. So say you don't care how many channels per chip, or it could be between a certain number, you could select this and put it as apply. Another example is input offset voltage. And so forth. Since we already have 21, that's a good number, it's not too many, we can now further filter down by looking at which parts are active, which parts are having inventory, and maybe we want to focus on these two since they also have options. You can compare these parts side by side, and you can download. When you download the comparison, it goes into an Excel spreadsheet. And from here, it will show you all of the different tabs which you can see within the tool, looking at all the different areas that may be important to compare. Another way that you can look for a part is by supplier. You can also look and see how we have the summary of what the company does, including their website. You type their name into the part supplier box. Just begin typing it and we will do the rest for you. Click on that supplier and go into something like ADC. Parametric search. Clicking on the parametric search, you can expand and go into the advanced parametric search. Say you want a max operating temperature that's between some variable and another variable. You can then choose that you want something between and enter 2 numbers. Going back to where we were, looking at just that supplier, we can choose something like a 12-bit resolution, active, And you want to narrow it down to under 1,000 parts that you're comparing. So we started out somewhere around 5,000 parts. We're going to pick 125 maximum operating temperature. And from here we're down to 220 parts. That's perfect. Click View Results, and now we're brought to those 220 parts, and you can further filter down over here by whether there's inventory available from franchise distributors. We get that inventory on a daily basis, that inventory feed. You can also see whether the part is ROHS compliant. And from here you can compare up to 8 parts side by side. Another part, or another way that you can find a part, is by initially going into the parametric search. So rather than looking at the product taxonomy, you can choose a horizontal parametric search this way. So clicking memory or linear, going to amplifiers and comparators, to the op-amp. From here again you reach the parametric search, and you can search from here. If you need to find a military part, here you can do a military parametric search. Say you want to look for, we'll stick with the op-amp. There are 511. That's all we need to narrow it down to, or you can narrow it down further. And search this way. Another part that you might want to try is by comparing 4 parts side by side, or up to 4 parts. So say you have an LM317 and an LM317T. It's going to ask us which LM317 we want to compare. So you can choose the first 2, choose the first 2 of the other, compare, and now you're comparing these 2 parts. They have to be from the same family, but they can be compared side by side, just as before. If you ever want to find a PCN that you either are looking for from a certain supplier, let's go back to that analog devices, and if you have a type of PCN you're looking for, such as lead-free, go back a few months or a few years, click search, and if there are any PCNs that fall into that category, they will show up. We also recently added the conflict minerals module, which is available from within the PartSearch tool and the BOM manager. We started out with somewhere around 100 suppliers in the tool, and we've been working hard to get it up to 947 and growing. So what we're aiming to provide the users is the EICC template and the status of the company, whether that be conflict-free, unknown, not affected, undeterminable. You can filter down by that status. Say you want to find all of the suppliers that are conflict-free. There you have it. You can also click for more details, because once we have the EICC template, you go into those templates and we pull out the information. We also have up here on the top tab area the Document Center, and here you'll find a lot of educational information that we originally had for our internal use, but companies wanted to have access to it, so we made it available in this area. If you have any recommendations, you can contact whoever you work with, and we would love to add more information.